Behind the locked doors of the department stores that failed to survive are hidden stories of big ideas and tough battles that eventually led to their end. Every brand had a unique way of changing how we shopped until they couldn't keep up anymore. Today, we will explore 25 famous names that helped build the retail world we once knew. Jitney Jungle. Born in 1919 in Jackson, Mississippi by the McCarty and Holman families, Jitney Jungle was a true revolution in the retail industry. At that time, the name Jitney, a slang term for a 5-cent nickel, struck a chord with the thrifty psychology of families living in the post-World War I era. The greatest legacy they left behind was the self-service model. Before Jitney Jungle existed, you had to stand in front of a counter and wait for a clerk to fetch every single item for you, but here, customers were free to walk among the shelves. For the first time, housewives could personally pick up boxes of cereal or choose the freshest apples for themselves. For decades, Jitney Jungle flourished, becoming the soul of small towns. However, the decline began to show clearly when giant national supermarket chains appeared with endless resources. Jitney's family management model gradually became obsolete and no longer suitable for the modern market scale. Efforts to expand too quickly led them to carry a massive debt by the late 1990s. The heartbreaking conclusion came in 2000 when the chain was acquired by Winn-Dixie and completely rebranded. Today, the name Jitney Jungle only exists in stories told about an era where freedom in shopping began with simple nickels. Service merchandise. Founded in 1934 and booming brilliantly in the 70s and 80s, service merchandise redefined the concept of shopping with a unique, magical experience. Their most distinctive feature was the catalog showroom hybrid model. You didn't carry items throughout the store. Instead, you strolled past shimmering glass display cases, wrote the item codes on a slip of paper, and handed it to a clerk. That moment of suspenseful waiting at the end of a conveyor belt system has become one of the indelible memories of past life. At its peak, service merchandise's sales reached over $4 billion. They were also a powerful name when sponsoring hit television shows like Wheel of Fortune and The Price is Right. However, the emergence of Walmart and direct retail supermarkets dealt a heavy blow to this model. Customers began to feel that standing around waiting for a conveyor belt was a waste of time when they could pick up an item immediately elsewhere. Despite efforts to pivot towards specializing in high-end jewelry to save the situation, this late change did not yield results. In 2002, service merchandise officially declared bankruptcy, closing a golden age of the catalog shopping model. Sears. Beginning in 1892 with a mail-order model targeting rural households, Sears grew to become the largest retailer in the United States and a symbol of American economic power. Throughout the 20th century, Sears was the anchor of every major shopping mall. The deepest impression in many people's hearts is surely the Wish Book, the most anticipated Christmas gift catalog of the year. Sears sold everything, from prefabricated houses sent via mail, legendary craftsman toolkits, to graceful lipsticks. Walking through Sears, you would smell the characteristic scent of roasted nuts blending with the smell of new tires in the technical department. A strange but incredibly familiar combination representing a place that had everything for the family. The decline of Sears began in the 1990s when they failed to adapt to the wave of e-commerce and poor management from private equity funds. The giant fell asleep on its victory by disregarding the rise of Walmart and Amazon. Despite efforts to spin off and sell prestigious sub-brands like Craftsman or Kenmore to maintain cash flow, that only further weakened their core values. The result is that from a dominant empire, Sears gradually decayed and now only a few scattered stores remain like ghosts of the past. Alpha Beta. Founded in 1917 in California, Alpha Beta created a completely different mark by arranging goods alphabetically to help customers find them as easily as possible. This was a genius idea in an era where supermarkets began to become vast and confusing for buyers. The chain's mascot, a smiling cowboy named Alfie, became a close friend to every West Coast child when shopping with their parents. Alfie's image on grocery bags and signs was associated with bright Saturday mornings, where families walked through spacious aisles, breathing the cool air from fresh vegetable counters equipped with automatic misters. The importance of Alpha Beta also lay in the fact that they were one of the first supermarket chains to introduce attractive promotions and gift exchange stamps, creating an extremely strong bond with the community. However, the continuous mergers of Alpha Beta and other brands in the 80s and 90s greatly affected the development of this supermarket chain. Each time it changed hands, Alpha Beta's distinct identity was eroded by the generic management strategies of parent corporations. Eventually, the brand was taken over by Ralph's and disappeared completely in the late 90s. Dominick's. Founded in 1918 by Dominick DiMatteo, Dominick's quickly became a source of pride and a premier destination for fresh food and an Italian-style deli in Chicago. The most unforgettable mark of the chain was the traditional deli counter. Think back to the pungent aroma of salami, premium Italian cheeses, and freshly baked loaves of bread still warm to the touch. Dominick's didn't just sell food, they sold cultural connection and trust in the best products for family meals. The decline began when the DiMatteo family decided to sell the chain to the Safeway Corporation in 1998. Since then, the quality of service began to decline markedly under the cost-cutting pressure of the parent corporation. Loyal customers in Chicago began to feel a sense of alienation in their own familiar market. After years of struggling with declining sales, Safeway decided to close this brand in 2013. This conclusion left a large void not only in the retail market, but also in the hearts of Chicagoans who still secretly miss the refined flavors and warmth that only Dominick DiMatteo could provide. Do you still keep any items bought from Sears or Service Merchandise? Or do you still remember the smell of cheese at Dominick's deli counter? Please share those precious memories in the comments section below. Marshall Field's. Founded right after the Great Fire of 1871 in Chicago, Marshall Field's became a symbol of the city's powerful revival. The headquarters on State Street with the giant clock on the street corner became a legendary meeting point for many generations. Marshall Field represented ultimate luxury with the founder's famous motto, "Give the lady what she wants." The most memorable memory associated with Marshall Field's is the enchanting Christmas nights. Who can forget the feeling of waiting in line to dine at the Walnut Room, sitting under a giant Christmas tree standing 3 stories high? Or the cold evenings when families walked along the window displays, meticulously decorated like vibrant works of art. However, the decline of this chain began in the 1960s as they sought to expand into suburban malls, unintentionally diluting its inherent majesty and uniqueness. After going through many owners, including Dayton Hudson, a major shock came in 2006. Marshall Field's was merged into Macy's and all the iconic signs were removed. This event caused a wave of fierce protest in Chicago, for to them, losing Marshall Field's was losing a part of the city's soul and history. Caldor? Born in 1951 from the hands of Carl and Dorothy Bennett, Caldor quickly became the second home for families in the Northeast United States, especially in New York and Connecticut. With the bright rainbow symbol, Caldor brought a cheerful spirit and a belief in high-quality goods at affordable prices. Unlike ordinary discount stores, Caldor always felt more upscale thanks to its tidy layout and extremely generous return policy. Do you still remember those Saturday mornings with your parents strolling through wide aisles, searching for new school supplies or durable household appliances? Caldor's dedication was so great that they flourished even during the economic recession of the 1970s. However, moving into the 90s, the Caldor rainbow began to fade under fierce competitive pressure from Target, the giant with a more modern and flashy marketing strategy. Additionally, the collapse of the supply chain and financial management mistakes pushed Caldor into a corner. Failing to modernize the warehouse management system caused them to lose breath in the retail industry's speed race. In 1999, Caldor officially closed its entire system, leaving a large void in New England malls. Delchamps. Starting as a small shop in Mobile, Alabama in 1921, Delchamps grew powerfully to become the largest supermarket chain and the pride of the state of Alabama for many decades. For Southerners, Delchamps became a symbol of characteristic warmth and hospitality. The shelves at Delchamps were always full of the freshest products from local farms, and the staff there were always ready to smile and greet customers by their first names. Delchamps succeeded in creating a shopping space where customers felt like members of a family rather than simple buyers. The decline of Delchamps began as the food retail industry entered an era of large-scale mergers. In 1997, this supermarket chain was acquired by Jitney Jungle, a deal originally expected to create a powerful Southern retail empire. However, instead of developing, mistakes in system integration and massive debt from the parent company dragged Delchamps into the abyss. Within just 3 years of the merger, the legendary supermarket chain went bankrupt and had to close all locations in 2000. Kmart. Appearing in the same year as giants like Walmart and Target in 1962, Kmart quickly captured the hearts of the American middle class thanks to a unique idea: the Blue Light Special. Recall the feeling when you were strolling between shelves and suddenly the announcement speaker blared along with a flashing blue light in a corner of the store. Immediately, a bustling and exciting atmosphere took over, as dozens of people rushed toward the light to hunt for 15-minute flash sale bargains. It was an exhilarating game that every person had participated in at least once. However, a slow rate of change became a wall, preventing the development of this supermarket chain. While Walmart focused on optimizing the supply chain to lower prices and Target built a stylish brand image, Kmart struggled to position its identity. Stores gradually became outdated, goods lacked diversity, and customer service was no longer emphasized. The decision to merge with Sears in 2004, an effort to consolidate their position, was actually a disaster as the two giants with feet of clay only increased each other's financial burden. Currently, Kmart has almost disappeared from the retail map with only a few scattered stores globally. Woolworths. Making a historical mark since 1879, Woolworths was the father of the modern retail model and the legendary five and dime store in every American's heart. Woolworths didn't just sell goods, they created a lifestyle. Their most indelible mark was the lunch counter with red upholstered swivel stools. This was where people from all walks of life gathered to chat and relax after a morning of work. Woolworths provided a cozy, close feeling, and was a place where children could use their first loose change to buy colorful bags of candy. The downfall of Woolworths came from their inability to adapt to the changing dynamics of new retail in the late 20th century. As outdoor shopping centers and big box stores began to dominate, the model of small department stores in city centers gradually lost its advantage. Continuous sales declines along with competition from specialized stores pushed Woolworths into a difficult position. In 1997, a heartbreaking decision was made to completely close the department store retail segment in the U.S. The company then pivoted entirely to the sports apparel business and renamed itself Foot Locker. Although Foot Locker is still a success, for our generation, Woolworths will forever be the image of hospitable lunch counters and 10-cent items that made up a whole childhood sky. Have you ever chased the blue light of Kmart or spun around on the stool at Woolworth's lunch counter? Please share your most interesting story in the comments section. Toys R Us. Born in 1948 by Charles Lazarus, Toys R Us was not merely a toy store, it was a cathedral of childhood, and a dream come true for millions of American children. Stepping through the automatic doors, a magical world opened up with endless aisles filled with toys stacked to the ceiling. The sound of bicycle bells, the beeps from handheld game consoles, and the characteristic smell of new plastic created an atmosphere of breathless excitement. Who among us can forget the classic advertising jingle? "I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid." It became a manifesto of innocence for an entire generation. In its heyday, Toys R Us was the only place you could find the hottest toys, from Barbie dolls and Hot Wheels cars to the first Nintendo consoles. There were Christmas Eves where crowds of customers were willing to wait in line for hours in the cold to be the first to get their hands on dream gifts for their children. However, the massive debt following the acquisition by private equity funds, combined with the rise of Amazon's low prices and the expansion of big box stores like Walmart, gradually strangled Toys R Us. The toy giant was no longer strong enough to maintain those dream aisles. In 2017, Toys R Us officially declared bankruptcy. Although the brand is currently trying to return in the form of small counters in Macy's, the overwhelming feeling of getting lost in a giant toy kingdom is now just a brilliant piece of memory in each of our hearts. Schwegmann Brothers. Founded in 1869 in New Orleans, Schwegmann Brothers was a symbol of the generosity and stature of Louisiana. Schwegmann's stores were truly giant, places where you could find everything from fresh food and clothing to household items. The development of Schwegmann was associated with the prosperity of New Orleans. This was where Southern housewives placed absolute trust in the quality and savings that the Schwegmann family provided. However, the turning point came in the 1990s. A misguided acquisition decision to expand the scale unintentionally pushed the chain into a spiral of debt and overlapping management. The core values of a family business were gradually eroded by fierce financial pressures. By 1999, Schwegmann Brothers officially had to close the entire system to the regret of the people in the New Orleans area. RadioShack. Born in 1921, RadioShack was once a paradise and the first destination for any technology lover or DIY electrician. For decades, RadioShack was the place where you found solutions for every electronic problem, from the rarest batteries and specialized cables to tiny semiconductor components. RadioShack held a special position as the place that popularized the first personal computers like the TRS-80. However, their decline is a classic example of being discarded by progress. When smartphones were born, they integrated and replaced almost all the small items that RadioShack sold, from alarm clocks, pocket calculators, and tape recorders to cameras. RadioShack struggled to find a way out as its core business shrunk. After several bankruptcy declarations and unsuccessful restructuring efforts, RadioShack now only exists as an online brand and a few scattered franchised dealers. Hudson's. Founded in 1881, Hudson's was a brilliant symbol of the industrial and cultural power of Detroit and the entire Midwest. The Hudson's department building in downtown Detroit once held the record as the tallest retail building in the world, with 25 stories, an architectural marvel where the most important cultural events of the city took place. The most indelible mark in many people's hearts is the legendary Christmas light show, where millions of twinkling lights turned the building into a brilliant winter palace. The cause of Hudson's decay was tied to the post-war suburbanization trend that caused shopping habits to change as people gradually moved away from the city center to find malls in the suburbs. The economic and social decline of the Detroit downtown area dealt a fatal blow to this giant. After merging into Marshall Field's and eventually Macy's, the name Hudson's was gradually erased. The most heartbreaking moment was in 1998 when Hudson's iconic building was completely demolished. First National. As the dominant supermarket chain in New England during the first half of the 20th century, First National was the close companion of every housewife in the Northeast United States. Known affectionately as Ficknast, this supermarket chain represented stability, fresh food quality, and community-based customer service. For New Englanders, going to Ficknast was an indispensable part of the Saturday morning routine. However, in the wave of food industry mergers in the late 80s, First National was acquired by the Ahold Corporation. Under new management, the name Finest was gradually phased out to be replaced by the Stop and Shop brand to synchronize the corporate image. If these memories make you smile, please hit the hype button to help spread this joy to more people. Kohl's. Starting as a small food store in 1946 in Milwaukee, Kohl's was once the name that dominated the dining tables of every family in Wisconsin before becoming the clothing retail chain it is today. The characteristic mark of this store chain was the unique arch roof design introduced in the 1950s. Strolling under those wide arches, you would feel a spacious shopping area where natural light flooded the shelves. By the early 1960s, Kohl's had become the largest food chain in the Milwaukee area. Although Kohl's clothing business later became a national success, the disappearance of the food segment in 1983 when sold to the A&P Corporation left a great sense of regret. Wisconsin residents lost a local supermarket that understood their tastes best. The image of arched roof food stores has now receded into the past, giving way to modern department stores. Montgomery Ward. Founded in 1872 by Aaron Montgomery Ward in Chicago, this company was the pioneer in the catalog sales industry and the arch rival of Sears for over a century. Often affectionately called Monkey Ward by the locals, this brand changed the face of rural America by bringing thousands of items from the city to the doorsteps of remote households. In the late 1920s, they exploded into direct retail with miraculous speed. Over 500 stores opened within just 4 years. Montgomery Ward was also the birthplace of the character Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the red-nosed reindeer who became the soul of every American Christmas. However, Montgomery Ward's biggest mistake was the slowness in moving to the suburbs after World War II. While competitors quickly occupied new shopping malls, Montgomery Ward remained anchored in old brick buildings in city centers that were gradually losing customers. After closing the catalog segment in 1985, the soul of the company, Montgomery Ward fell into an irreversible decline. In June 2001, all remaining locations officially closed. Blockbuster. Born in 1985, Blockbuster turned renting movies every Friday night into an indispensable part of the culture of the 80s and 90s. You probably never forget the smell of aromatic popcorn wafting out as soon as you stepped through the door with the characteristic blue and yellow logo, along with the familiar slogan, "Be kind, rewind." The feeling of walking along rows of VHS tapes and later DVDs, flipping through each cover, and excitedly hoping the latest Blockbuster was still on the shelf was a delightful tactile experience. Owning a Blockbuster membership card was like owning a ticket to the cinema kingdom. The downfall of Blockbuster is one of the most unfortunate stories in business history. They once had the chance to buy Netflix at a bargain price, but refused because they thought online services were just a fad. The rise of streaming and the convenience of watching movies at home with just one click made Blockbuster stores quiet. In 2010, Blockbuster officially went bankrupt. Today, only a single store remains in the whole world in Bend, Oregon, kept as a living museum. Kaufmann's. Founded in 1871, Kaufmann's was the heart of the city of Pittsburgh, where dedication and customer service became legendary. For Pittsburghers, Kaufmann's was a cultural anchor with brilliant holiday window displays and a luxurious shopping space. But the greatest symbol, the deepest mark in many people's hearts, was the Kaufmann's clock at the corner of 5th and Smithfield. "Meet you under the clock" became the catchphrase for many lovers, many old friends, and thousands of families for over a century. Despite very efficient business, Kaufmann's could not avoid the global takeover wave. In 2006, the Federated Department Stores Corporation merged Kaufmann's into the Macy's system. The Kaufmann's name was removed, and although the clock is still there, the soul of a local brand that understood every corner of Pittsburgh is gone. Tower Records. Founded in 1960 by Russ Solomon in Sacramento, Tower Records was once the center of the musical universe and a cathedral for anyone who loved free melodies, with the vibrant yellow and red sign and the slogan, "No music, no life." Tower Records didn't just sell records, they sold a lifestyle. This was where you could spend hours scouring the massive collection of records, from rock and jazz to the most experimental genres. Tower Records stayed open until late, becoming a gathering place for artistic souls and a place where you could accidentally run into music stars looking for records. Live performances right at the store created a vibrant atmosphere where music truly lived and breathed. However, Tower Records became the biggest victim of the digital revolution. The birth of digital music, online piracy through Napster and eventually streaming services made owning physical records a luxury. In 2006, this musical empire officially collapsed. The disappearance of Tower Records brought with it a habit of enjoying music with all the senses. From touching the record cover and smelling new paper to chatting with knowledgeable music staff. Do you still keep any music records from Tower Records? Please share that memory in the comments section. Kresge. Founded in 1899 by Sebastian Spearing Kresge in Detroit, this brand quickly became one of the most popular and successful discount grocery store chains in early 20th century America. With the 5 and 10 cent model, Kresge brought easy access to goods for all social classes, from buttons and spools of thread to cute little toys for children. Kresge's development was associated with the urbanization of America, where their stores appeared on almost every bustling street corner. However, when people began moving to the suburbs and shopping needs changed, Kresge management recognized an important turning point. The transition from the Kresge model to Kmart in the 1960s was an effort to modernize the brand and expand the scale to compete in a new era. In 1977, the company officially changed its name to Kmart Corporation, and the Kresge name gradually receded into the shadows. Although Kmart later also experienced many ups and downs, the complete disappearance of stores named Kresge left a sense of nostalgia for the era of 10-cent stores full of warmth and the hospitality of the last century. Gimbels. Founded in 1887, Gimbels was the most formidable rival of Macy's, creating a legendary competition that completely changed the retail face of New York City. For decades, the slogan, "Nobody but nobody undersells Gimbels," became part of American popular culture. Gimbels left a deep mark in the hearts of customers through the Thanksgiving Day Parade in Philadelphia and an emotional appearance in the classic film Miracle on 34th Street. Strolling through Gimbels during the holiday season, amidst the magnificent displays and bustling Christmas music, was a brilliant experience that anyone who ever lived in New York or Philadelphia cherished. However, the decline of Gimbels was the result of fierce competition from suburban supermarkets and the rapid change in customer consumption behavior. Gimbels could not adapt in time to modern retail models and the decline of city center areas in the 70s. In 1987, after exactly 100 brilliant years, Gimbels officially closed forever. Their iconic building in Manhattan was later renovated into modern complexes but still retained a part of historical architecture as a witness to the golden age of general department stores. Mervyn's. Born in 1949 in San Lorenzo, California, Mervyn's quickly captured the affection of families in the western United States, thanks to its modern, convenient, and extremely friendly shopping style. If you grew up in California or neighboring states, Mervyn's was definitely the place associated with afternoons spent buying new clothes to prepare for the new school year. In particular, the classic advertisement with the image of a woman knocking on the glass and exclaiming, "Open, open, open," became one of the most memorable advertising icons, reflecting the excitement of customers every time the discount season came. Mervyn's decline originated from the consequences of economic recessions and constant competitive pressure from giants like Target or Kohl's. Business strategy mistakes and the constant change of ownership caused this brand to gradually lose its inherent family store identity. In 2008, in the storm of the global financial crisis, Mervyn's officially declared bankruptcy. Bonwit Teller. As a high-end store chain headquartered on Fifth Avenue, New York, Bonwit Teller was once considered a symbol of luxury and a pioneer in shaping world-leading fashion trends. From the early 20th century, Bonwit Teller was famous for bringing the most refined fashion styles to the American upper class. What made their mark unique was the bold combination of fashion and art. You surely remember those enchanting display windows, which once served as a stage for the works of great artists like Salvador Dalí and Andy Warhol. However, this luxurious temple began to face difficulties before the rise of direct sales brands and the change in online shopping habits of the new generation. Massive operating costs at the most prime location in the world, along with competition from more modern shopping centers, pushed Bonwit Teller into a difficult position. In 1990, this prestigious store chain officially closed. Their iconic building on Fifth Avenue was completely demolished to make way for the construction of the Trump Tower. Eagle Food Centers. Founded in 1893, Eagle Food Centers was once the pride and trusted companion of every housewife in the Illinois and Iowa region for over a century. With the powerful eagle symbol, this supermarket chain represented the warmth of the Midwest and a commitment to the freshest food quality. At its peak, Eagle Food Centers owned more than 130 locations. Moving into the 90s and early 2000s, increased competition from giant supermarkets like Walmart and Aldi pushed Eagle into fierce price wars. Prolonged losses and difficulties in modernizing the management system made this dear. Thank you for joining this nostalgic journey through the aisles of the past. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next memory.